Okay, you guys, so thank you for clicking on this vid. As you can tell by the title, a topic in the Transformers community that has been going back and forth for, I don't know, a good solid 10, 15 years maybe, since Bumblebee broke out in the 2007 film, and since he's been a mainstay, staple character in literally every piece of Transformers media since the '07 movie. Almost 20 years of this, which is crazy. Feeling a little redundant now. I think we gotta move on, but that's besides the point of this video. In terms of Bumblebee becoming a prime in fiction, this has been an idea that's been thrown around, actually, officially a little bit by Hasbro over the years. The idea sort of first came around, just going by my memory. There might have been something super obscure that I'm not thinking of before here, but during animated Bumblebee, there were rumors that Bumblebee would have some sort of upgrade to make him maybe a prime in rank or something. In terms of season 4, that's just a rumor, but there is some credence to this. There's been people in production that I think have talked about it, and also there was that Elite Guard Bumblebee repaint in the toy line. Maybe they were alluding to Bumblebee getting a higher ranking, like as a prime or something later on down the line in the series. It would make sense just with the stars aligning back then, Bumblebee being the main character of the Bayverse and, just his popularity skyrocketing at that time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was a plan at some point in time in animated, but that obviously didn't work out. And then a few years later, they would kind of try the same story beat, but obviously different to fit with the aligned continuity. Transformers Prime / R80 2015, that whole transition. They made Bumblebee more of an authority sort of character within the Autobot ranks. He was some sort of officer. I can't remember exactly what he was in R80 2015. It's been a while since I saw that, but he had a good level of ranking to him now. I think he was like a lieutenant or something, so I guess he moved up from a scout. He also was able to lead his own Autobot team to Earth on the mission. You know how the story goes, where Optimus's spiritual side led him to Earth on a mission and stuff. So he was leading his own team of Autobots, but not like officially or in a high-ranking way on Cybertron like you would think a Prime would. But they did mess with that idea, and I don't know for sure. I don't even think I finished R80 2015, and it's been so long since I've seen it, like well over 5 years. But I can't remember if they actually made him a high ranking on Cybertron once the series progressed or whatever. But during R80 2015, they did mess with the idea that, he led Autobots. He had sort of a commanding, more adult-like prime nature to him, looking up to Optimus and everything like that. So there's been at least 2 times in the mythos, well, kind of 3, I actually almost forgot about this, the Last Night movie. Around the same time R80 2015 was airing, they wanted that brand synergy that we know Hasbro loves to do with Transformers. So they had Bumblebee leading the Autobots temporarily in The Last Night when Optimus went to Cybertron to face the creators. Mess of a story, but that's what they did. It obviously mirrored what was going on during the R80 2015 cartoon, but he never became like an official high ranking for long. And he never became a prime, obviously. So the point of this video is, there's been 3 sort of attempts to give Bumblebee a high ranking or give him sort of that prime stature and aura, if you will. And they've never really followed through with it in fiction before. And I'm kind of surprised by this because, Bumblebee's kind of been the top dog in terms of being the main character of Transformers for the last 18 or so years. And the fact Hasbro really hasn't gone there with the character is actually kind of interesting. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes with this or the logistics. I don't have any insider knowledge of people who have worked over the years at Hasbro on Transformers lore. But it's just kind of surprising that they didn't go the extra mile considering how popular Bumblebee has been for almost 20 years now. And it's been sort of a popular fan fiction story to kind of run in the community for people who still really love Bumblebee. I know there's a huge disdain for Bumblebee with a lot of people nowadays considering he outshines a lot of characters nowadays that frankly kind of deserve the limelight more. I think it could work if done in a way that is actually compelling and interesting and not just shoving Bumblebee down your throats for the 1,000th time in the last 18 years. If they do it in a way that actually adds to the lore, adds to the character, and adds to the overall history and just speciality of the Transformers brand as a whole the last 41 years, it could actually be something pretty cool. And this is coming from somebody who is a D1 Bumblebee hater in most iterations of him after the '07 movie and animated. I don't really like him in Prime. I don't really like him in the comics too much. I don't really care about him in R80 2015. I don't care about him in Cyberverse or Earthspark. You know, he's kind of just there to me, who's just propelled into this main character status just because he's popular with the kids. And it got even worse with Transformers 1. It's like, why is he here? But that's like a topic for another video, possibly. I think if they do it in a way where it's passing the torch, or maybe in a way like with animated, where Prime is a rank where it's given to numerous characters throughout Cybertron, stuff like that could make it work. But maybe it's because of the blowover of just Hasbro not wanting to test the fandom too much and not wanting to do stuff outside of the box nowadays like they used to back in the early 2010s, the 2000s, and the 90s. That could be the case too, because, you know, that is a big leap. You know, Bumblebee Prime, Scout to Prime. That would be something that they would really have to think about and delve into in a way that actually works. And maybe it's like Unicron, where they just don't want to mess with it too much because it's just such a big thing to do in cartoon and media. But I don't know, it just kind of seems like an obvious thing, even though I hate Bumblebee. I think it would be a nice progression for the character, you know, him stepping outside the box and outside of his comfort zone. There's actually a lot of story that you could play with there, in terms of, you know, Bumblebee wrestling with himself mentally on, you know, being a Prime now when he was just a Scout or he was just a kid, whatever the case may be in terms of the storyline. They could choose, you know, the path he could go on. I don't know, maybe they could go down this route at some point. I mean, the Transformers franchise isn't going away. It's still going strong despite a lot of the issues it has nowadays. So maybe we could see this sort of story beat, however it could be done, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. You never know with Transformers. There's a ton of things they could do with a franchise that's literally called, you know, Transformers, where these characters are supposed to change over the years, which is something Hasbro's kind of forgotten in recent years, but that's besides the point. Honestly, I made this video because I think, despite my disdain for Bumblebee being shoved into every piece of media as a main character, just because the kids liked him for a little bit, it's kind of drying up, honestly. You know, despite my thoughts on that, I think if they propelled him to a different level and just did something a bit more refreshing and different with the character, this Bumblebee Prime thing that's been floating around since basically animated could actually, you know, make the character a bit cooler to me again, after him just being, you know, sort of the same thing, no voice, he's a Scout, blah blah blah, you know, the door wings and everything like that. Kind of just moving forward from that would be cool to see, but I don't know if we're ever going to see this. But yeah, guys, let me know down below, how do y'all think a Bumblebee Prime storyline would be, and do you think it would work at all? And yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye.